Hi, my name is Luiz Yamashita. I'm 39 years old, and I'm here to talk about my experience with acid reflux. A little background, I was born and raised in Brazil, São Paulo, Brazil. My mom, she's living and, most of her adult life, she has had acid reflux. So I think I get a little bit of that from her side. And growing up, I always saw her having terrible pain, and as part of what she had to do to fix that, she had to do go through a surgery because the valve that keeps her acid in her stomach was not functioning properly. So she had to go through surgery to fix that. And once she did that, that problem was pretty much gone. But this was almost 20 years of her having pain and having to deal with acid reflux on a daily basis. Um, I pretty much, started to experience this as well in my early 20s, I would say more severely. In my teenage years, I did have a little bit here and there. I grew up, pretty much eating vegetarian, not because of any options other than I used to get really sick. So I don't know if that has to do with any of that. But my parents are, eat meat, they eat meat every day. They love to do the Brazilian, steak. We call it churrasco, and that's very popular in our country. And but for me, for some reason, I never really had a good experience with any kind of animal protein related, food. So I would say that maybe I wonder that has something to do. Maybe my stomach is somewhat sensitive, but I never got down to really link that to the acid reflux situation. So um, again, in my teenage years, I used to maybe have a little bit of heartburn. As I got close to my early 20s, it got a little worse, not bad, but I remember one day just kind of I get very nauseous sometimes if I eat something that doesn't really go well, and it could be related to the dairy, history, or the animal protein history that I have explained. And one day I noticed that I was vomiting and it had a little bit of blood in it. And I went to the doctor, and they did an endoscopy. This was when I was about 21, I think. And they found out that I had small little ulcers in my stomach. They were gastritis. That's how they had explained to me. So I just took a little bit of omeprazole, control my diet, and over the years, it got fine. But as I got into my 30s, then my acid reflux got a little bit worse again. So as a young adult, you don't think this is anything that you need to worry about, and I just kind of let it be. Try to control it with diet, maybe avoid certain foods. Unfortunately, I like very, very spicy food, and that can be, I guess, another problem. But even though some doctors said sometimes it's not really the cause of it. But in any case, I started to have this acid reflux and heartburn pretty bad. I would say almost 3 to 4 times a week, which was bothersome and something that you just don't want to be living with, right? So I would say for about 5 years, I dealt with this situation as best as I could. And I finally decided to go see a doctor. And when I went to see a doctor, they did an endoscopy, and they found that I had a polyp on the base of my esophagus where the junction is with my stomach. And that polyp was pretty big, and it was almost to the point that was blocking about 75% of that kind of a hole where the food goes through into your stomach. And that was pretty much caused by the acid. In addition to that, because the acid was going up, sometimes coming up to your throat, um, to my throat, the doctor also noticed that the results of the endoscopy indicated that there was a sort of a count that indicated I was pretty close to having ENO, which is an inflammation of my esophagus. And at that time, he prescribed to me omeprazole 40, I think it's 40 micrograms on a daily basis for 6 months, and see how that would do, and come back in 6 months to do another endoscopy. So I did do the omeprazole. It was for about 6 months. Went back, did another endoscopy. That was, a good thing because it showed that my stomach polyp plus the esophagus had calmed down quite a bit. but the polyp was still there, so they actually sent me to we are in Charleston, South Carolina, so we have a very good hospital called MUSC, and the expert Dr. Hoffman there, she did another endoscopy as well just to check on it and confirm that I didn't have to remove anything that would be somewhat worrisome. So with this other endoscopy with Dr. Hoffman, she confirmed that the polyp had gone down, and pretty much, as long as I stayed on medicine, and I could go down to omeprazole 20 at this time, I would be fine going forward. And she said, as long as you stay on your medicine, watch what you're eating, that will help you stay pretty much, in a good condition and not experience heartburn. So this has been probably 2 years to 3 years now, I want to say. And since I have stayed on the medicine, it has helped me, not experience that. And if I forget to take the medicine, or if I take the medicine for whatever reason, I had to eat right after that, in less than 30 minutes after I take my medicine, then I could sometimes experience a little bit of a heartburn. And I had a day actually that I don't know what it was. I probably forgot to take it, and it was pretty bad again. So it doesn't happen again. Maybe it will happen twice a year now, and it's just something that it's a lot more manageable than before when I had to deal with this from, eating anything and experience that almost on a daily basis. And I feel that, staying on this medicine has really changed my lifestyle. I can enjoy going out to eat. I don't have to worry too much about what I'm going to eat. I can eat some of the things that perhaps maybe before I was a little bit more worrisome because I knew it was going to give me heartburn. Anything fried usually did that to me. And in addition to that, I try to be more mindful about what I was eating. So in general, I try to eat healthier, not as heavy. I'm again vegetarian, so I try to eat more of steamed vegetables instead of fried vegetables. So I try to focus more on healthy options if I can find them. Of course, if you travel, sometimes it's a little harder to find what you're looking for. But because of this condition, you kind of learn, what kind of options you have. You go, for example, like we go to Outback Steakhouse, and it's a steakhouse, but they have great veggies there. So I try to stay with that kind of option if it is something that I can ask at a baked potato. Kind of stay within a menu that makes me feel comfortable. And in addition to that, I became more conscious about eating in general, and I think that improving my eating habits also led me to become more mindful about exercising. So I have exercised more often, and I think as a package, the eating and the exercising plus the medicine has helped me to control this and not have this as a worry that I used to have, in the past from feeling sick and having a lot of side effects. So in general, I would say that if anybody is experiencing any sort of heartburn, sometimes yes, it does. It can happen to anybody. But if it is becoming more recurring in your life, I would advise anybody to see a doctor, go get an endoscopy, look, and see what's going on, and try to address this. Because I hear that your stomach and your whole gastro system is very sensitive, and if you get cancer or something like that, it can be really harmful, and that can be an issue for for something that you cannot really fix. So I'm glad that I got to do this. I'm glad that I can share this story. I'm very excited that this is going out to a lot of people that perhaps will be experiencing similar problems that I had, and hopefully this will give them the nudge in the right direction to have a better lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, I think what you want to do is just have a good living experience, excuse me, and not experience this kind of side effects that can be very harmful to your body, and to the point that sometimes it can be a pretty severe situation.